Okay, so let's talk about this idea of getting overwhelmed with doing too much. When I first started my clinical career, I was one of these people, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I was one of these doctors, clinicians, that would essentially, you would come see me and I would give you 10, 20 different things to do all at once. And what I found out over time is that for most people, while these things might be different, there's only 3, 4, maybe 5 at most big rocks that if they do them, they have trickle-down impact. For example, for me, I know that if I eat my body weight in protein every single day, or try to, because that's a lot of protein, 225 pounds, I don't always get it. Most of the time I don't, but when I try, I'm so full that I end up eating a very low calorie diet. So when I do that, it has trickle down effects. So if I try to eat my body weight in grams of protein every day, if I have 1 large salad every single day, and if I drink 4 liters of water every single day, these 3 nutritional keystones, these 3 big rocks, end up making me less hungry, far more energetic, more motivated to work out, and I lose weight effortlessly because I create an accidental calorie deficit. Now, those may not work for you. Those are my big rocks. Those are my keystone habits, but you have to find yours. And there is not a lot of overlap, but there is some overlap here. So you can try mine as a beginning structure and see if those things work. But ideally, you want to find the big rocks that make all the difference in the world. Let's talk about this idea of big rocks real quick. So there's this idea that if you had a bucket, and this is an analogy you hear all the time, but I want people to understand why I call it the big rocks. And I do think this analogy helps. If I had a bucket and I wanted to fill it up, I could take 2, 3, 4 big rocks and put them in the bucket. But of course, those are gonna create gaps in the bucket. So I could dump pebbles in there and fill it up a second time. But of course, there's still gaps and I could dump sand in and fill it up a third time. And I also could put water on top of that and fill it up a 4th time. Now, if I reached in with all those big rocks, pebbles, sand, and water and pulled out the big rocks, what you're gonna see is the pebbles, sand, and water only make up 10 or 20% of the volume of that bucket. The other 80% was these big rocks. So you want to think about what are the big habits, the trickle down habits, what are known in research as keystone habits, that when I do these things, everything else begins to fall in place. This is hugely important because when you focus on 3 things over 10 or 20 things, you can actually do 3 things. You can actually focus on 3 things. You cannot focus on 10 things. It makes it more manageable. And when those 3 things are powerful enough to control hunger and cravings and accidentally reduce calories, you're going to get big results. Now, these 3 things or 5 things, these keystone habits or these big rocks are going to be unique to you. And you need to know what they are. But let me tell you some of the big rocks that a lot of my clients benefit from. Try to eat your body weight in pounds and grams of protein every single day. Having a certain amount of cups of non-starchy vegetables that you eat every single day. Like let's say you're gonna shoot for 6 cups or 9 cups of vegetables every single day and you make that a priority. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about here. Maybe you say, I'm gonna drink 4 liters of water in the day, right? This takes advantage of the protein, fiber, water concept. Maybe a big rock for you is having a protein preload or a protein shake 2 hours before dinner. Or maybe your big rock is having a protein shake right after dinner to shut down the craving for sweets. Or maybe your big rock is to have no starch with dinner, not eat any carbohydrates after dinner. Or maybe your big rock is not to eat until noon and skip breakfast. Or maybe your big rock is to make sure you eat a big breakfast. It's very different for everyone, but what you want to do is focus on the things that make the most difference for you, which is why I always say this is a process, not a protocol. It's not a one size fits all. You have to spend the time figuring that out. It is incredibly important. So these big rocks and this concept of nutritional keystone habits are huge. Now you might say, well, Jade, why are you focusing just on nutrition? And the reason why is because exercise rarely, for most people, only about 75 or 25% of people actually can lose weight with just an exercise program. Diet is the big mover here. Now, movement can be a pretty big deal. So maybe we can have a keystone habit being walking 10,000 steps. That is one of mine. I gave you 3 of mine, but if I had to give you one, walking is another one. Sauna therapy could be another one for me. And then of course there's big keystone habits around lifestyle. Going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time. These things can make a big difference and you need to pay close attention to them. So when we talk about keystone habits, I oftentimes talk about the 4 different aspects of the metabolism. Mindfulness, all the things we do to reduce stress, sleep, naps, all that kind of stuff. Movement, walking, basically. Diet, meals, and then metabolics and exercise. The keystone habits really should come from the mindset, movement, and meals component, and not really the exercise component when we're talking about weight loss. So hopefully that's helpful for you.